before. My name is Kevin Ross from the Garland Police Department. I've been a SWAT officer with them for about 5 years, police officer for 7 with them. I was a trooper before that for 4. And prior to that, I did 5 years in the United States Marine Corps. A little bit on my background on nuclear, biological, and chemical agents. I was an NBC NCO whenever I was in the Marine Corps, and since then they've changed the acronym for NBC, which used to stand for nuclear, biological, and chemical, to CBERNE, which was CBERNE, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. And since then, within the last few years, especially in the recent bombings and everything, the terrorist incidents, they call it CBERNE. They just stuck an E on the end of it for explosives. So we have more weapons of mass destruction traveling up and down our highways every day. Thousands and thousands of tons of it. Radiological. Doesn't have to be anything big. Like I said, it can be small. The people that measure, people that like check the different, that's the word I'm looking for. They're like, the shortest thing I can tell you is they're checking sewage lines and pipes, and what they have is a radiological probe. It's a radiological probe that they unsheath and put down the pipe, and what it does is it gives off radiation. They can pick it up with their instrument and it'll show flaws in any pipe. So if they got a leak in a long sewage line, they can pump it down there, kind of like they do in a rotor-rooter thing on one of the big old spirals, and just let it run down there, and they'll have an instrument on top of the ground that'll follow it and basically map it. It's like an X-ray. That's all it is. It's ionizing radiation just like an X-ray, a gamma ray is. Well, that little small thing, about the size of a pinhead. We had a guy one time, not in Garland or Dallas, but back east, broke into a guy's truck that was a pipeline inspector and stole that. And they broke it apart because it looked cool and glowed in the dark. He thought that would be neat to hang on to. And he put it in his back pocket. Well, by noon the next day, 3 or 4 different families in the area were already getting sick with radiological poisoning, with rat poisoning, and called the fire department and said, "We're just getting sick." And they realized what's going on. The kids are getting sick, they're throwing up, they're having diarrhea. They roll out and they're about 3 blocks away, 4 blocks away, and their dosimeters are pegging already. And their dosimeters, their rate meter, how much rads they're taking. And they realize, they find out where it's coming from and track it down, because in a rad field is a lot simpler than being in a chem bio field. I'd rather be around radiation. A lot of people think, oh my God, no, radiation, that'll kill you deader than a hammer. But I tell you what, you can figure out where they are, and the rad can be right here, and I can get off of it just enough checking it with the device or level them. Whereas if that's anthrax, that could be anywhere. It could be floating in the air I'm breathing. That is in a fixed place, and I can actually map out the daggone area with little cones and walk around it and give you a safe zone that you can actually know that the rad's in there, but you can follow as long as you stay outside the cones. Your dose rate's not going to raise high enough to get you within the threshold to kill you or sicken you. And they found the guy, and just from having that in his back pocket, because he stuffed it in there and forgot about it, he got sick. And when they took his pants off, he had already received 3rd-degree burns down to the bone. It had cooked his ass and his back thigh, and they had to cut from here all the way up to his ribs and remove all of that, just over a few hours. So it does not have to be, like I said, some big device. Something simple like that. Some terrorist attaches a bunch of those to a pipe bomb and blows it up at a medical center. Hey, I just set off a dirty bomb. That's going to scare more people than if you detonated a nuke downtown, because they don't know where it is. They hear dirty bomb, they think nuclear bomb, and Dallas ain't going to be visited for the next 10 years just because people are scared of it. One thing I'm going to tell y'all, I know a lot of people think, well, all these nuclear centers we've got around here and reactors, they're worried about somebody running in there and snatching a spent fuel rod and running off with it. Let me tell you something about that. You know, those places, you'd think they got the highest amount of security there, right? Nobody's getting in, nobody's getting out. That's a load of BS. Just about anybody could. You could probably walk in there and they'd show it to you, because they could take a spent rod or a full rod. Anything glowing nuke, if you can see the glow, you're probably dead already, you're going to die. They could tell every terrorist in the world, hey, we'll give you a nuclear rod, just come in here. And the guy that explained it to us at NTS basically told us that if you sat there at a 100-yard line and 100 yards away and you took off running at full speed and were the fastest sprinter in the world, and they exposed the rod, you could not stop and turn around before the 25-yard line, and it would kill you and drop dead already because of the radiation it's putting off. So Indicators of a radiological incident. It can't be seen, felt, tasted, or smelled. Therefore, indicators have to be, other indications are required. A dosimeter, a ludlam or something. You can be in a rad field, we could be in one right now, not knowing it'd be killing us all. I mean, you can't, it's not like Kimby where they do have some type of taste or smell to it. Don't ever get one that just covers your nose. If you're ever wanting to go get a gas mask, go to like approvedgasmask.com and get a military type that uses a canister. This one's a screw-off canister. It uses 40mm threads. This is what the current military uses, and this is what will help you in Kimby. NIOSH and OSHA are phasing out masks like this. And they have what are called bayonet mounts, which just have like 3 lugs, like an MP5 suppression. They just clip it one turn and they'll snap on. Those things are too easy to knock off and unscrew, and they're going to start phasing them out. So if you buy those, you'll waste about $200 or $300 of your money, and then they won't be making filters for them or the masks anymore or parts for it. So if you ever want to get one of these, find one similar to this. They're only about $150 to $200 if you're looking to really spend and get one for yourself.
How do you determine when to leave town and when you just bundle up in your house and stay put?
Usually you're going to have to wait and see on the news, get what information you can. It's not a good idea to jump up and run because you don't know what direction the wind is, what actually happened, where it's coming from, or what size the spill it is. It's usually better to shelter in place if you can. If it's like I live in Wiley, I'd shelter in place. I wouldn't start running because you don't know which direction it's coming from or what actually happened. It's better to shelter in place until you get enough news or info. Most people are going to have to shelter in place or will have mass panic. They'll be out in the open and stuck in traffic somewhere, and then they're really in trouble. It's better to stay at home.
Go the direction there's not a lot of dead bodies.
Yes. follow the route of the less dead people. Yeah.
So if there is a directive to leave town, you would follow it?
I probably wouldn't, because I'd probably have to stay behind, but I'd get with CT and a bunch of my people that I knew, and we'd be figuring it out. Hey, do we need to all meet up somewhere and go someplace else together so we can stay alive? Something.
Well, imagine rush hour traffic is a microcosm of what you would have to expect. And
you just need to watch the evacuations from Houston during the hurricanes.
It's going to be 10 times worse.
It's going to be panic. Not that something's about to happen in 48 hours, it's already happened, people are dying, so there's going to be carjacking, riots.
If you don't have a helicopter,
they'll be killing everybody. You better to freaking arm up, barricade up, close everything down and stay home and protect what you got and get your family home as quickly as possible.
And Texas law is pretty good. You don't have to leave. This state does not require you leave. Once you leave, you're required to go. That's the problem. Unlike in Louisiana where you had to leave and they'd come in and roust you, you can say no. Here, homestead law allows you to say no, but once you walk out the door, you're screwed.
But yeah, that'd be the thing I'd do. Shelter in place and wait for news to come down. Because they'll be putting it out and they'll be telling you what to do. It's simple. Duct tape and trash bags or heavy plastic, shut everything down and zip it all off. Barricade yourself in where nobody can break in and get you as best you can, and just stay in there and listen to the news. And that'd be about all I can recommend you do. But if you want to see what it really looked like with that movie, it was freaking scary, because that's exactly how Dallas would be, just like it was supposed to be in LA. Dallas would come clean apart. You would have the natives running to Wiley and raping, pillaging, and burning everywhere. You'd lose everything if you didn't stay there and hold your ground. So it'd be exactly like that, like TJ was saying. They'd be carjacking people, murdering you to get your stuff and try to get away.
You get a gas mask on, they'll jack you up for your gas mask if they think that's coming. So the only way is collectively with numbers. You'd have a small unit tactics, 4 or 5 people minimum. Small enough unit to move effectively, large enough to protect yourself, and just that's the only way you move. Because if somebody jumped up with their Raven or RG to take their gas mask, they would be visiting their ancestors in the happy hunting ground.
That's exactly what you have to do, small unit tactics. It's funny because you think of that, stories like that movie or like that series Jericho, but that's exactly how you have to. You got to isolate yourself, you and your buddies, your family and friends that you know are gunfighters, and y'all fight your way to someplace you can hold ground on and stay there. And that ain't no bullshit like TJ's talking about. Everybody needs to know how to do that, not just cops and military, because cops and military are going to be tied up handling the bad people. We ain't going to be able to protect everybody. We're trying to contain stuff, and we're already going to be overwhelmed. You're going to have to know how to take care of yourself.